Good evening, everybody. I'm back. I'm Jack Remington. I'm your host of Quintessence Productions, LLC. We're going to talk about what we did in Week 13 just for a minute. Then we're going to go and pick our Week 14 picks. The picks are getting harder and harder as they're supposed to be. Every week is different, but every week is still the same. It's a paradox in every NFL season. When you hear things such as saying, "Oh, it's been a strange season," every season's got some strange things happening. That's what makes the NFL so special. It is not as mechanical, predictable as people think it is. So anyway, let's talk about Week 13, what we did, and then we'll go over Week 14's picks. Okay, Week 13, there was 10 home underdogs on the. Amazingly, 6 of them won and 4 of them lost. That's the best week for the home underdogs this entire season. And we already went over some of the previous videos. So going over Week 13, we were 4 wins, 1 loss. You can see on the board we crept back up a little bit over 500 now. We've been over 500 since Week 1. The previous 4 weeks we went 5 wins, 14 losses, and 1 push. I mean, that would destroy anyone's chances in any contest. I mean, you can't play 320 ball and expect to do anything. So, but we're back on track, and this is our 4th week that we've had 4 wins and 1 loss. As you can see on the board here, the road home team dynamic is the parity to 8 wins, 8 losses. Favorites won 6, the dogs won 10. We're back on track, and we're gonna have another good week this week. So let's talk about Week 14. Pick number 1. We're going to take the Carolina Panthers +3. They're at Atlanta Falcons. Okay. The Carolina Panthers just fired their coach, Ron Rivera. I thought Ron Rivera was a very experienced, well-seasoned, well-tempered coach. Very few distractions on the team. I know maybe 10 years ago they had that Ray Caruth guy. He murdered his pregnant girlfriend. But they handled it really well. They cut him right away as soon as he was arrested. The Carolina Panthers had a good front office. They've had a change of ownership in the last 10 years. Smooth transition. You don't hear much about. Cam Newton made a comment about the ladies asking about the wide receiver post patterns, and he made this thing up. I'm having a hard time listening to women tell me about post patterns, and they made him apologize. But to Cam's credit, he buckled. He figured, well, it's easier to apologize than to fight this political correctness scene that's out there today. So I like Cam Newton personally. I know there's been some talk about he's a little hard to get along with on the field, a little hard in the locker room. He just wants to win. So Carolina Panthers, they fired Ron Rivera. The Panthers started 0-2, and he's peeled off a bunch of wins. And Cam Newton gets hurt in the interim. They put in this Gardner Minshew guy. He's an undrafted rookie. He's had very good flashes in the pan. Gardner Minshew gives them hope. And they got McCaffrey as a running back. But I like Carolina Panthers +3. I know they're at Atlanta. Now the Falcons, their season's over. Their coach is playing for his life. Okay, but Carolina, they already got rid of Ron Rivera. But the new interim coach almost got the job before they hired Ron Rivera. And the interim coach, he didn't leave. He stayed. The interim coach and Ron Rivera are good friends. Got a good pulse on this team. I'm looking for Carolina they're playing for pride. I think the Falcons are only playing just to keep their jobs. I just think the wrong team is favored. I think my numbers had Carolina -1.5, and the line come out with Atlanta -3. Second game is one I might regret, but we're going to take a home dog here. We're going to take the Buffalo Bills +5.5. They're hosting the unstoppable juggernaut Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson, he might beat out Russell Wilson for the MVP. If he keeps this up and doesn't get hurt, and they go on a long, deep run in the playoffs and possibly win it all, Lamar Jackson will be discussed as the MVP. It's going to be between him and Russell Wilson. So I just think that Buffalo +5.5. I'm looking at last week's game. I know Baltimore's going. I'm going to pick Baltimore to win this game. I'm picking the Buffalo Bills to cover. I'm looking for a field goal type game, just like I said last week about the 49er Raven game last week. My 5.5 points. Well, I like it because both teams are going to try to run the ball. Buffalo's not so good at stopping a run, but neither is Baltimore. And so it's going to chew up clock. And when you chew up clock, your points become bigger and bigger. And I think 5.5 points is huge because it slows the tempo of the game down. And it becomes a game of field position and first downs and field goals. So when you got teams kicking field goals, your 5.5 looms pretty big. So we're going to go with the Buffalo Bills as a home underdog here. plus Buffalo got a little extra incentive. They could still conceivably win the AFC East if New England falters. We're talking about New England with the fourth pick. Pick number 3, Los Angeles Chargers, -3. They're at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville's lost 4 in a row. They've been blown out every game. The team is in a tailspin. There's been some dissension in the locker room. We've been reading about that and hearing about it. My sound guy, he has a brother who lives in Jacksonville, Florida, and is a real big Jacksonville Jaguars fan. And he said, Tom Coughlin's at it again. He's on the field screaming, and he's supposed to be the general manager. He's not the coach anymore. And Marrone is just, he's doing less and less talking, and the players don't know who to listen to. When you confuse rich young men, they just shut down. They're trying to keep the big money contracts. They're trying to. Jacksonville's always had a reputation of working very hard, very studious team. But my sound man Don, he's right. Everywhere Tom Coughlin goes, there's a mutiny before the ship gets righted. They mutinied against him when he was one of the New York Giants. They were going to run him out of town, but they started winning. And then he won 2 Super Bowls, but then the locker room problems had crept up again, and they got rid of him. They fired him. He started with the Jacksonville Jaguars in the 80s as an expansion team, got him to 14-2, the best record in football one year. But they couldn't beat the Tennessee Titans, and they lost to the Titans at home in the championship game. I think it was 33-14. But that was the year the Jaguars were picked to win it all because, they were number 1 in offense, number 1 defense. They were just beat-slapping the NFL, but they couldn't beat the Tennessee Titans. If I were an NFL owner, I would hire Tom Coughlin. I would tell the players to shut up and play. Because I'm a owner's owner. I'm a manager's manager. When you look at John Wooden of the UCLA Bruins, when you look at Bill Belichick of New England, Jimmy Johnson of the Dallas Cowboys, Vince Lombardi of the Green Bay Packers fame, Mike Ditka of the Chicago Bears fame, it's, we manage, we coach, you play, you're paid very well. The fans are going to be the fans. We've got a great product. That's what we do. I personally think Tom Coughlin's probably more right than he's more wrong. Jacksonville just lost their leading tackler, Miles Jack, who played at UCLA, by the way. I just think that Jacksonville, their window is closed for the Super Bowl. Remember, 2 years ago, they were one play away from going to the Super Bowl to face the Philadelphia Eagles. But Bill Belichick and his Patriots, Tom Brady pulled it out. To their credit, they didn't cover an 8.5-point spread. And we had Jacksonville, by the way. When it was 14-3, I was feeling really good about it. But Brady was still pretty on top of his game. I think that Anthony Lynn is a very good coach for the Chargers. I think Philip Rivers is a great – Philip Rivers and Dan Marino and Dan Fouts. Whenever I think of a team that's never won a Super Bowl, I think about those 3 guys. But I just think the Chargers, Anthony Lynn is telling them, forget the season, we're going to play just for pride. I can see that coming out in Anthony Lynn. I'm not sure about Tom Coughlin and Marrone for the Jacksonville Jaguars. They may already have decided, let's just evaluate some players, let's get this Minshew some more experience. We may have to, move on. Nick Foles, we spent a lot of money on Nick Foles for the quarterback. He was just the MVP a couple years ago, and he beat my Tom Brady and the Patriots. But he's been hurt he's been badly injured, and maybe he's not the same player. I like Nick Foles. I think Nick Foles is a great player. There was one year he was, 25 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. But the Nick Foles experiment is a failure. Not everything in the NFL goes according to plan. The draft picks, free agency, this is one of them on the free agency side that just didn't work out. I think the Chargers are going to show up on the late of 3, and I just think that the Chargers are still playing for something. They're playing for pride. Game number 4, game all been waiting so patiently. It's the Kansas City Chiefs +3 at the New England Patriots. And New England's owned them the last couple of years. They beat them twice last year, once at Foxborough, and then they beat them at Kansas City for the AFC Championship game. I was a little concerned about that because New England jumped out to a 14-0 lead, and they did the same thing to the Chargers in the playoff game. And my video has the winner of this game wins the Super Bowl between the Chargers and the Patriots. And so I left that video up there. It's still up there on YouTube if you can find it. Did something that I've never seen Bill Belichick do since his tenure in New England. When they would win the toss, they used to usually defer. Last year they were taking the ball. They did the Kansas City game too and the Chargers game. They won the toss. They took the ball both times and scored because they were just trying to protect. Their game plan was to score and make them play catch up. Belichick felt that was his best chance to win, and he was right. And right now, the way his defense is playing, he's got a better defense this year. He shored up his defense a little bit. He may defer if he wins a toss against Kansas City game coming up. But what I've been hearing about New England is that several players, including the backup Stidham, has got the flu. Now, you know and I know if somebody in your house starts coming walking through the door and they start sneezing, hacking, 2 days later you're calling in sick. You got it too. It's airborne pathogen. I mean, it's the common cold and the flu. You breathe it in. It gets on your skin. I like betting against teams when there's reports of the flu. And I don't have any numbers for you, but I'm gonna tell you I've won more than I lost betting against teams that got the flu. And something else about New England, they just don't look the same. Tom Brady, now people are trying to point the finger. Now people are pointing fingers. Oh, New England's going to fall apart. New England this, New England. They're still New England Patriots. They got that hooded one over there. He's still a mad genius. And this is probably gets them fired up and people start doubting them. I've never seen a team in my history of following the NFL since I was a boy. I've never seen a team make people eat crow like the New England Patriots. They, what's that guy? Deion Sanders. Thank you, Deion Sanders. Never bet against Tom Brady. They made him believe right. Deion Sanders. I mean, he's a Hall of Fame player. He knows, but their entire wide receiver corps is still banged up. Sanu's going to be the deep ball threat as their number one slot receiver, and Edelman on the other side. Edelman's got a shoulder injury. He's on the injury report. Tom Brady's stubbed his toe and is also on the questionable report. I mean, wouldn't that be something everybody loads up on New England? They're going, New England's going to come back, and they own Kansas City, and they start that game, and there's some third-string guy we never heard of starting that game. Don't rule that out. So I'll leave it on the video in case it happens. I'm gonna rub people's nose in it. But I think Kansas City's already suffered its slump. You're running through the woods, and you trip over a branch, and they already had their falling down late in the first third of the season. They lost 2 straight. They should have lost 3 straight home games, but they beat my Minnesota Vikings, and the Vikings punt the ball, and they never got the ball back. Long story short, but Kansas City survived that scare, and now they're rolling again. That the Kansas City Chiefs, the scoring machine, and Patrick Mahomes, talented player. You can say what you want about Mahomes, and he's young. He last year, it was his first full-time year in a rookie year, but the guy's just reeking of pure talent. I'm telling you, Kansas City and Andy Reid, you got to give him credit. He's one of the better regular season coaches. He doesn't do too well in the playoffs, the Super Bowl, but he gets the team in position to get there. I'm taking Kansas City Chiefs +3. I'm going against my Tom Brady. They're a healthier team. They're the better, prolific offensive scoring team right now. I think New England's they're banged up. Their injury list is a mile long. And when I see the flu, and I see Tom Brady, and I see Edelman on questionable, probable, I got to go with Kansas City. Game number 5, the one I'm catching grief from my fellows over here. My wife's not here right now, but she could give me grief too. We're going to take the home team. We're going to take the Los Angeles Rams pick'em game, and they're hosting the Seattle Seahawks. The look-ahead line had Seattle -2.5. Then a few days later, after the Rams were impressive, they just went to Arizona. They just destroyed them. The Rams just looked like the Rams of last year. Explosive, dominant defense. They sacked Kyle Murray. They stopped him in his tracks. The Rams look like the Rams that played in the Super Bowl and almost beat New England. The Rams had, in my opinion, they got one of the best pass rushing teams in the NFL. They already played once already. They were at Seattle, and it was toe-to-toe. And we had that game, and we lost by 1 point. I think it was 30-29. If Seattle wins this game, they get at least a wild card spot. And if they win the week after, they're going to win the division because they beat the 49ers. Even if the 49ers win the rematch, it's not going to matter. With just a few weeks left, that's how good the Seattle's gotten. And Seattle is the king of the 1-point wins. I mean, they're real close rate of thin wins, but they're winning. So you can complain about the 1-point wins all you want. If the Rams lose this game, even though they beat the Bears 17-7 in the middle of the season before the Rams started falling off, and the Bears were in their tailspin, if they finish 10-6 and the Bears finish 10-6 because the Bears have the better conference record, the Bears would get the playoff spot. Okay, if Minnesota loses 2 more games, they're out. Rams cannot afford to lose this game. Seattle's, they have not lost on the road. Well, I think they're finally going to lose one on the road. I think the Rams, I mean, they got that defense steam, the defense is primed. They've got Gurley running the ball pretty well now. I think Seattle defense sprung some leaks last week against Minnesota. I mean, I was shocked on how Kirk Cousins moved that ball on them. Seattle had no answer for the Vikings offense. And they had time possession on the Vikings, 40 minutes to 20. And Minnesota had a chance to send the game into overtime. They run that ball back. But they fumbled the ball. They fumbled the kickoff. Maybe that's how you beat Seattle, is you got to get on top of them big time. We're going to take that. So to recap, we're going to take the Panthers +3. They're at Atlanta. The wrong team is favored, in my opinion. We're going to take the home underdog, Buffalo Bills +5.5. Pick number 3, we're taking the Los Angeles Chargers -3. They're at Jacksonville. Pick number 4, we're taking the Kansas City Chiefs +3 and Mahomes. And Andy Reid's going to, it's a kind of revenge spot. And we're getting the healthier team with the Chiefs versus the New England's. They got the flu, and their entire wide receiver corps is banged up. And Edelman, he had an uncharacteristic fumble when they were playing the Ravens at that day. I mean, he's playing hurt. Pick number 5, we're going to take a chance. We're going to go to the Rams one more time. But I like my Kansas City pick. I'm a little worried about the Seattle pick, and I'm going against Seattle. I'm a little worried about Baltimore. But the harder it seems the cash ticking in, you actually win more of those games. So you can see here, we're 35-29-1. We're still over 500. You know, we're going to try our best to finish over 500. We're going to try to get to 60% if we can. So enjoy the games. Have fun. It's always a great day to be an American. And I'll see you next week. Thank you.